Cecilia, and welcome to you talking to me. Yesterday, the hearings of the 27 commissioners designated started at the European Parliament with Cecilia Malmström, the next EU trade chief, and the focus was on how she will handle the famous free trade negotiation with the United States. This is the world's largest free trade area, which could undermine European standards such as data privacy, food safety and environment. And to discuss on this, my guest is Helmut Scholz.
Hello.
Hello, you're a member of the European United Left.
Yes.
Welcome. So this free trade deal with the US will bring by nearly 120 billion euros a year for Europe. But one of the main danger is that the US multinationals could have a lot of power if the agreement includes a process that allows companies and investors to take national governments into an arbitration court. So this is a bit, this is called Investor-State Dispute Settlement, or ISDS, a bit complicated. But concretely, what would be the risk of the European Union in this?
First of all, this instrument you have just described, the so-called ISDS, so Investor-State Dispute Settlement Mechanism, is an old tool in the international trade structures. So it is used for 20, 30 years already, and we have more than 1,200 bilateral trade agreements worldwide. So it is not new. But what is new with the ISDS? That with the creation of this transatlantic market via the Atlantic Ocean between the European Union and the United States, and partly also with Canada, because we have just negotiated, or the Commission has on behalf of the 28 member states negotiated the EU-Canada Free Trade Agreement, that investors have the chance to, in the case there is a dispute on certain trade facilities, then to go to a private arbitrary panel and say,
if they believe the agreement are breached. Yeah.
If the agreement is reached. But I mean, this is already the case in other bilateral agreements. For example, 7 member states of the European Union have such bilateral treaties with the United States. And that means that then this investor can come and say, no, my investment has made under different conditions, so I want to have from the state which has taken democratically voted in the parliament a regulation which is hindering my further implementation of the business. So please pay me a certain amount of money for the loss of the profit expectations I had made. And this is a question that this panel is not transparent. It is private constructed, it's closed, so it is discussing and finding a procedure behind closed doors. Nobody understands what is the real concrete contents of these disputes.
So there may be some abuses, is what you mean?
There could be abuse. I don't know exactly if there abuse, but this is creating a danger because private interests are dominating the public interest, and that I reject.
So yesterday during the hearing of Mrs. Malmström, she was a bit confused about whether we include this arbitration court in the agreement or not. And I propose you to watch an extract of the video of the hearing from yesterday. So we can start now.
And that's why I think it is consistent with the European Union's ambitions to try to, in a comprehensive way, address complicated matters. And we will sit down together with you and the Council and see how we can move on. Will it stay in TTIP? I don't know. Maybe not.
So she was a bit confused. So she doesn't know if this will be included or not. What is your reaction now about her?
You know, the 28 member states, the heads of state and governments, have given the Commission a mandate when the negotiation has started to negotiate also ISDS. So there is an animosity among the member states. But of course, after the negotiations have started, the public expectations, the public pressure has grown up. And there is a lot of doubt in this instrument, which I shortly already described. And just now, the Commission has stopped the negotiations on these concrete matter and said, okay, we want to have a consultation with the public, and they got over 150,000 written answers on a very procedural questionnaire, about 27 questions. And all these 150,000 citizens, but also NGOs, trade unions, stakeholders from the business, they have answered these questions. And just now, this consultation process is under the way of checking what are the contents of the answers, and the Commission has promised us that they will give us an overview about the concrete contents and about their further procedure till November. Why Mrs. Malmström yesterday was so a little bit not clear in answering? Because they don't know exactly how to deal with these public expectations, how to deal with correct questions of citizens of the European Union, because they fear that the business is dominating the public life, and public procurement, service industries who are in the focus also of the negotiations, the regulatory mechanism, what does it mean in the future for all of us in the daily life, for the production methods in both markets, led her probably for hesitating to give a clear answer, because in the CETA agreement, so the Canada-EU agreement, we have already this mechanism included, and here she rejected yesterday to reopen the negotiations and to take it out. So we have a contradiction between the EU-Canada agreement and the ongoing negotiations on TTIP, where we will see if after the end of this consultation period, November this year, so after the elections in the United States, after the new Commission is constructed, how the Commission will deal with that.
Oh yeah, and another point that, this agreement, another big critic against it's the lack of transparency. We just mentioned it before. Also, the lack of transparency of the negotiations. Even the regional and the national government, they don't take part of it. But also recently, a European citizenship initiative was rejected by the European Commission, and it was signed by hundreds of organizations. And so it was, they were against this free trade deal. And so do you feel that this issue, we just ignore citizens' opinion on this issue?
First of all, that is a democratic opportunity, and it should be a possibility for everybody to participate in policy making. That is what we want.
So that was an undemocratic decision by the European Commission? That was an
undemocratic decision in the way that they ignored that there is really a public interest in the whole issue. Maybe the question should be more focused in the way that the Commission, who had got the task from the Council, can't say, I don't negotiate things they had requested by the heads of states. So in the way, we have here to blame both the Council and the Commission to ignore the will of the people.
And the will of the people, finally, at the end, people, they don't really care about this arbitration court, about this lack of transparency in this negotiation. What they want today, it's money, jobs. So this trade could bring them jobs, growth in Europe.
Excuse me, that is promised by the Commission, that this deal will bring a lot of jobs.
Yeah, but how do you convince your people?
Our group has made an own impact assessment on the already made impact assessments of the Commission, which had ignored the real situation of the employment situation in a lot of European countries. So they have said in the next 10 years there's no change in the employment. And there is a very arithmetic line drawn by the Commission and saying, okay, taking the situation A from 2014, it will be the same situation 2020, so the increase of the trade will bring jobs. I guess that is not a correct interpretation of the reality. So we know that the joblessness in Spain or in Greece remains as high as it has been 2 years ago. So here I say we need a concrete understanding which jobs are created, decent jobs have to be created. And I'm a little bit doubtful about these promises from the Commission.
Well, in the end, I mean, we may be doing much noise for nothing, because in the end, it will be signed.
Why?
Do you think that?
Why it should be in the end signed? The question is that must be a matter of democratic discussion in the societies, including also the parliamentarian debates, both at the national as the member state as well as at the European Union level. So in the European Parliament, we will discuss further negotiation process. We will discuss the outcome of this, and I'm convinced that with this growing attention of the public to such negotiations, how trade is constructed, how we produce today, how we consume today. Of course, it's a question of jobs and it's a question of consumption. Everybody wants to live on that what he earns. And here we are called all together, all the citizens, not to let the policymakers do this job alone, but to interfere, to question, to ask what are the conditions for my job today in my country. So, of course, and the situation in Poland is different to this in Germany or in France or in Portugal. But we want to have common European approaches, common European strategies for creating jobs, and besides, also in the United States. It is not that the US are coming and want to pressure Europe. No, also European corporations have their interest to public procurement markets, to service industries, to regulate banking, the banking system in the US as well in the EU. So that's a really bilateral deal.
Okay, so we need to stop here because the program is starting to wrap up. I have to wrap up the program. So thank you, Mr. Scholz, for coming, and thank you, all of you, for following us. Bye.